This is Monica Rodriguez. I'm Managing Director of the Global Laboratory, Pharmacometrics and Site Services. So welcome to our North American lab.
Hi, I'm Andy Supp. I'm the Vice President of Global Laboratory Services at CTI. And as Monica said, we're about to take a tour of our North American lab. Keep in mind that we have the exact same type of laboratory in Bilbao, Spain, and we'll point that out as we go through our tour today. Part of the central laboratory services that we provide is provision of all sample collection kits to investigator sites throughout the world. Part of the whole process is reading and interpreting the protocol the pharmaceutical company develops and deciding what the visit test schedule is, and then building the appropriate kits to collect the samples that are needed at each test or study visit. Those visits and those kit configurations can change within a study from one visit to the next, or they can be fairly consistent, but they certainly change dramatically between studies. The important part is, and what our kitting team must do, is take the information from the study build, develop the specifications for the kits, build those kits, and then QC those kits before sending them out so that we can ensure that there's global consistency from anything provided from our US facility or our Spain facility for global studies that have investigator sites throughout the world. So after sample collection kits are sent out to investigator sites, patients come in, samples are collected from those patients, and then those samples are returned back to CTI laboratories for proper testing, storage, forwarding on to other testing facilities, or in some cases just being received and put into long-term storage. However, it's not as simple as just receiving those samples back in. We do what we call accessioning. It's registering the samples into our database. This database does an immediate QC check to make sure the samples are from the study, they're collected from kits that had not expired, and that all the other information that's supposed to be provided on the requisition forms that accompany those samples is correct and accurate and consistent with what's been in the database. If any of those steps fire off a red flag or cause an alert, awareness of a discrepancy or an issue, that's immediately investigated and checked out, because although the samples will move on to their next destination, whether it be testing in the lab or storage, no reports can be generated or anything else until those investigations are closed and the queries all resolved, so that the data provided back to the investigator is accurate. Similarly, any samples that will be put into storage, if we subsequently find out from the investigator sites that data associated with those samples needs to be updated or changed, we go into our database and update it and change it, so that if we would just send those samples on to another lab for testing or somewhere for long-term storage or us hold them, we want the data to be current and consistent and aligned with the clinical study database. Now, I mentioned short and long-term storage. There's a difference there. Long-term storage can be at the end of a study for 5, 10, 15 years past the close of the study. Our clients will want us to hold on to samples so we can recover them later. Short-term storage, maybe samples are being sent out to another specialty lab for testing, or maybe the client wants us to hold samples and test at a certain batch frequency. So they will go into short-term storage. It's important that all throughout this period, even at extended storage, those samples are monitored and tracked and accessible in our database, so that at any point in time we can find the exact freezer, shelf, holder, and the row and column within that holder of where a specific sample is located. And that inventory is important to monitor. In total, right now, without any building expansion or anything else, we have the capacity to store approximately 5 million samples here in our US facility. Similar, all same capabilities, maximum capacity 2/3 in our Spain laboratory right now. Both locations have capacity to build out further and increase that storage volume even more if needed. We're a central laboratory, we're laboratory, so obviously we have to do some laboratory testing too. That's our forte, that's our specialty. So behind me you see one portion of our laboratory, part of our flow cytometry lab from our cellular group. But the important aspect here is, again, everything that we do, first of all, is under CAP accreditation and guidance, full CLIA accreditation in the US. Similar accreditation levels for both laboratory and biorepository CAP accreditation in our Bilbao lab. The important thing is that not only being accredited and monitored and meeting the high standards of these organizations, but we also have to be able to read, interpret, and respond to changes and variations that may come up during the conduct of a clinical trial. I've never encountered a clinical trial yet that hasn't had some change during it, and it's important that the lab can make those changes, can pivot and incorporate them as quickly as possible so that the data flow and the data being collected meets the needs of our clients for their, ultimately for their submissions to regulatory agencies.
Thank you everyone for touring with us in our North American lab.
I hope you enjoyed the tour we had, and if you'd like more information, please visit the CTI website.